Hey, there are six main pillars of a good project budget, especially if you want to track your project. The first one being your chart of accounts. Every cost code, account code, anything that you use must be attached to your chart of accounts. And I'm not asking you to use QuickBooks or Xero or whatever. I'm not for any software, but I'm just trying to explain it to you how that would work in any kind of a good project budget template. So with your chart of accounts, I think mostly, especially when you're building or construction, in that you'll probably have either your sales revenue, your other revenue, if you generate income via another form of fee or service fee, or I use something known as DM, which is basically a development management fee for my projects. And most of your costs for that build for your project are actually going to end up in your cost of sales. So it is important that you understand that your chart of accounts, which are the ones that you are actually going to use, and then link up with your cost heads. So say, for example, cleaner, insurance, scaffold and fall protection, services upgrade, site establishment, site running costs. These are all your subcategories that form a full construction budget. So when you are planning your project budget, it is important that you've got your cost heads and all these details sorted so that you know the little ingredients that will fall under that. So say, for example, you've got your cost heads. The next thing would be to look at your cost codes, which is basically, if you drill down in each one of them, so let's say these are your cost codes, these are your cost heads, for example. So these are the main cost heads that they come pre-populated with lead project, for example. And you've got all of these are the ones that I've used in the past. And then under your cost codes, you will have under site works, you would have your asbestos removal or civil works or demolition or capping beams, for example. Under your concreter, you'll have all of these details. So if you are planning to track your project, it is important that you have all of these details sorted. And in case you haven't got them sorted, just reach out to us and we can help you out with these things. So with lead project, which is totally 100% free, you can use them and you can add them to that. The other thing that you need to be careful of is your once you've got your cost heads sorted. So in here we have all the cost heads, which are then, and we have all our chart of accounts. So if you check with your accountant, they would be able to tell you which are the ones. But if you're not, if you're looking at getting some construction bookkeeping done or whatever, reach out to us and we'll sort all of this out for you. So you've got your sales revenue. These are the main accounts that you will always use in order to cost a project and track a project. So any money that comes in would fall under your revenue, and any of the costs that are used to actually build your project are going to fall under your cost of sales. So, and these are your main cost heads. You've got your cost codes, which are broken down further. So these are the details. For example, here, all your cost codes under site works will be all of these things. And then under concreter, you will have your concrete slab, you will have your concrete standard slab, your retaining walls, your exposed work, form work, labor, all of these things. So all these details, once you've got them sorted, all you have to do is add them to your lead project. And we'll get into how and where to add, but I just need to explain you what these things are and how you can actually add them, especially when you are planning your project budget. So each one of these would then be added, and you'll allocate your account heads in front of them, and you'll select your tax code if it is applicable to it. The next thing is that you need to understand your job codes, because when you are tracking, when you create a budget, is for a job. And most people, they get lost when they're trying to run several projects from one bank account without actually thinking what's going where, and it creates a nightmare for a person who's trying to track it, or for yourselves, especially if you're trying to track all these things. And the easiest way to do that is we have a section where you can just put in the address for the job and then create a job code for it, and all these will follow through into your into lead project. Then another thing you need to be able to plan for your project budget is your stages. So say for example, you've got 7 stages, like you've got pre-construction, which could include your permitting and all those things, and you could have all of these stages, but the fewer stages that you have, these are the actual stages of the build. So don't go in too much detail with all of this, because each one of them has to be allocated to each one of those cost codes. However, with your job codes, which is one for every job, and your cost code, this is where you put in all the details, as many details as you want, but you also have to think of it as in a more practical way, that can I track each one of them? So if you've got a different vendor for each of these things, I would put them as a separate cost code so that they can be tracked. So think of it as that anything that you want to track, and it has to be broken down into detail. So if these things fall under the concreter or the concrete works category, that's where all of these details can actually go in there. And how to use all of them, I'll explain in another video, but here we want to plan everything before we start using lead project. So then the last thing that you've got to understand is your work days, so that you can, when you're creating your budget, you understand that this budget, the lead project budget, includes and has the ability for you to create dependencies, add work days, also add lag and predecessors in there, add your billing cycles so that the cash flow can be generated and spread across. So all these things. So the holidays are basically the days that you're not going to work, so that you can estimate the time correctly. So feel free to add them in there. And these are the 6 main ingredients that you would need for you to be able to plan your project budget correctly, so that it can be tracked for every dollar that's going into the project. What is it going for? How are you tracking it? And if you estimate it or project it across your cash flow, and you think that it will cost me $5,000 for XYZ work on the site, and it will happen in month number 4, all that can be tracked correctly on a month-by-month basis, on a monthly cash flow basis, using lead project and lead project plus service that we offer. So feel free to use this template. Go ahead, play around with it. And what I kid you not, if you do one budget in this, you will never be able to use any other Excel or spreadsheet product, because it is so simple to use, and there's nothing that's been left out from this budget application. Thank you.